Hello everyone, my name is Angelo Giannoni. I am a first-year master's student studying exercise physiology at UIC in the Department of Kinesiology. And here is my Graduate College 593 final project presentation. I had the pleasure of sitting down and speaking to one of my mentors at UIC. He has continuously pushed me to be the student that I am today, and I couldn't be more thankful for him to inspire me to pursue the degree of exercise physiology for my master's program. Today, I'll be doing my presentation on Dr. Craig Horswill. Dr. Horswill allowed me to use his name for the presentation, and I'm super thankful for that. Dr. Horswill earned his bachelor's degree from the University of Wisconsin-Madison in natural science and chemistry. He also earned his master's degree from UW-Madison in exercise physiology, and then later completed his PhD in exercise physiology at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. Prior to joining UIC faculty in 2011, Dr. Horswill worked 16 years with Gatorade as a scientist and a manager, also doing research at Ohio State and Ball State, while teaching at Ball State as well. He is currently a clinical associate professor in the Department of Kinesiology and Nutrition here at UIC. I have been fortunate enough to have learned and continue to learn from one of the best exercise physiologists, in my opinion, during my time here at UIC. The way that I have structured this presentation is that I have the question that I asked Dr. Horswill up top in gold lettering, and then all the statements or all the notes that I took were underneath in white in bullet points. All the questions revolve around the academia of higher education, simple questions that I have had over the years that I wanted to ask Dr. Horswill, and just his thoughts and concerns about how academia is going to be progressing in the next few years, and then why he got into exercise physiology, what sparked that internal flame for him. So let's start off with the first question. I asked Dr. Horswill, what experiences throughout your life influenced you on becoming an exercise physiologist? So he definitely jumped right back into talking about wrestling. For those of you who do not know who Dr. Horswill is, avid wrestler throughout high school, college, coached numerous college teams, big into wrestling. So with him training for wrestling, that really got him into what sparked his interest for exercise physiology, all the training behind it, all the testing that was done on him during that time. And then he also went onto that pre-med track while he was doing his undergrad and took an exercise physiology course. And that really caused that spark or that light bulb in his brain, and it was like, okay, this is the right career path for me. This is what I want to be doing for the rest of my life. And it went on from there. So the second question that I asked Dr. Horswill was, what or who inspired you to teach? So I really focused on what type of training that he had in higher education, who were his role models, mentors. So he really emphasized that if you were going into research, then you most likely will go into teaching, because you want to be teaching what you found in that research. So that's what he was really emphasizing throughout the whole discussion, at least for this question. And then he really, really enjoys developing new leaders. So he was talking about how he really enjoys seeing students progress from day one to the end. It really makes his day. And I'll talk about that in a little bit in a couple questions later on. But him being a wrestling coach also helped him with teaching, because he had to teach the athletes on how to perform proper moves, just watching their diet, exercising properly, and that really helped him in the classroom. And then the main mentor for Dr. Horswill was his exercise physiology professor at UW-Madison. He didn't talk much about him, but John Mullen was his name, and he was super influential for Dr. Horswill, just like how he is for me. And then, funny enough, he said his meteorology professor also had some inspiration on him. He said if he didn't go into exercise physiology, that he most likely would have gone and become a meteorologist. So I found that kind of funny. So the next question that I asked Dr. Horswill was how has higher education changed from when you first started teaching to today? So the first thing that he talked about was the utilization of technology in the classroom. He talked about how being away from the classroom for 22 years and then suddenly seeing students with laptops in front of them was a huge transition for him. Just using PowerPoints and lecture capture, iClickers, all these various tools that can be used now were not in play years back. He also mentioned how he has to fight for attention now. Back when he was presenting years back, it was just him, the student, and a pen and paper. Now he's fighting for the attention of a screen in between himself and the student. He also has found that student engagement has improved since when he first started teaching. He's really had to get the students engaged, and by doing that, he really has initiated more group work, more activities in the classroom, just to keep the students from falling asleep, essentially. That's what he said. And it is more proactive than reactive in years past. This next question has always been in my mind since I have been contemplating becoming a college educator in near and hopefully near future. But I asked the question of what are some benefits and costs to becoming a college educator? And he really was straightforward with this answer. He gave me benefits and costs. So some of the main benefits that he gets out of it is satisfaction, just seeing the students do well. Having the students come up to him and saying, thank you for teaching, I had a great semester, you're doing a great job. And student growth. He said seeing a C student start out the semester and then see them progress to becoming a B or an A student literally makes his day. It makes his semester. Because that's what educators are there for. They're there to help the students grow. He also talked about compliments. Compliments aren't everything in the world, but it does give you that little bit of motivation of, yes, I'm doing a good job. Yes, I'm doing something right here. It never hurts. Never hurts to hear a couple compliments now and then. Some of the costs, he talked about lack of funding for education. So especially within the kinesiology department, he described it as if I need to get a new tool, let's just say, he used the example of buying a calculator. Instead of him going through all these hoops to get a calculator funded by the college, he would just get it himself and then he would just take care of it. So he was talking about lack of funding, limited resources, and it can be time consuming. Formulating a syllabus, as we all know, takes time. Lesson plans take time. Formulating exams, quizzes, activities, it all takes time. So it can be daunting, can be time consuming. So one of my main questions that I really wanted to ask was, what have been some of the biggest challenges you have faced during your time teaching in higher education? And I told him, besides adapting to technology, away from technology, what has been that biggest challenge for you? And he said frustration. Simple, one-word answer, frustration. He gets frustrated that students tend to memorize the material instead of understanding the material. He later described it as individuals who earn Nobel Prizes are given to people who are asking the question of why. They're always asking that why question. They're not asking what. They're asking why or how did this happen. So it expands on critical thinking. Students need to be more engaged in critical thinking, and that comes to, are students prepared coming into college? Are they having the adequate material taught to them in high school? Are they being tested enough on critical thinking? or for just being engaging or formulating a good question. And he said it just depends on where they're coming from. Sadly enough, these inner city schools sometimes don't focus enough on math or reading. It could happen in any school, but he said he feels that students need to have more of a math and reading background in order to succeed in higher education. Leading into the next question, I asked Dr. Horswill, in your opinion, what makes a college professor a good college professor? And he said maintaining focus. Instructors need to maintain focus throughout the semester. They can't get carried away. They can't get led astray off that path of maintaining their focus. He says they also need to be organized. Organization is crucial to be a good professor or just an average professor in general. You have to have your lesson plans planned out, obviously. You have to have those exams perfect. It just takes a lot of planning and organization to be efficient in the classroom. And I asked him, how do you get evaluated? What's the best way for you to get evaluated from your students? And he says the best way that he can evaluate them is through their exams. The exams are the best way to judge my teaching, in quotes. And it makes sense because that's a good way to see, are they understanding that material? Then he also talked about teacher evaluations. We all get teacher evaluations at the end of that semester. They fill in those bubbles. But what does that really tell us? Are they going to take the full time and answer those questions correctly and take that time for it? I don't know. We don't know. If we were to look up Rate My Professor score for Dr. Horswill, he has a 2.4 out of 5, okay? A 2.4 out of 5 on a grade scale would be an F. Do I think he is an F for a professor? I do not think so. I think he's one of the best professors I have had at UIC. But students give him this score because he's a challenging professor. And it's a shame because students just don't want to be challenged nowadays. They don't understand they just can't handle the pressure of all of this work being thrown at them. So that is why I don't believe these ranking systems or rating systems are efficient enough or, in my opinion, ideal. Because I do not follow any of those Rate My Professors. I have my own opinion on my professors, and that's what I'm going to stick with. And then he closed with balance. Balance is crucial and key. Yes, being a professor is hardworking. You're going to have all of these different demands, but you also need to enjoy life at the same time. So a good professor is one who maintains focus, is organized, seeks evaluation from their students, and finds balance. So I mentioned this earlier, but I asked him, if you were to look 5 to 10 years ahead, how do you picture college teaching? And he said in-person classes would definitely decrease in the next 5 to 10 years, but online courses will increase. And then he asked me this question, why even go to college? He says there's been studies on individuals who have just taken online courses from various colleges, got the necessary degree, took all the necessary courses, did not have to attend college or pay the huge amount of money, and are still getting hired by big companies like Google, Apple, just because they meet all these recommendations or all these criteria. He said the interview process in the laboratories will still remain the same, just to give that hands-on experience. But he also says we need to remain efficient and need to continue thinking critically in order for us to stay ahead of artificial intelligence. So we need to stay ahead of the computers. Otherwise, they're going to take away all of our positions, all of our jobs. In conclusion, the last question that I asked was, what advice would you give to someone who is looking to pursue higher education teaching? And what he said was, continue learning. Don't stop learning. You have to love what you do. You need to write, you need to read, and you need to teach. And don't just focus on academia. Yes, he said academia is amazing. There are jobs in academia, but don't forget about industry as well. It is also important, and there are a ton of jobs for individuals with our degree to pursue a career in industry. And what he specified towards me was, keep your options open. A degree in kinesiology allows me to have various avenues to pursue. I can become an athletic trainer, personal trainer, occupational therapist, physical therapist, exercise physiologist, and the list just continues to go on. And that is all I have for you today. Thank you for your attention. I have enjoyed this semester tremendously, especially this course. I hope you all have a great winter break, and God bless.